Hi, I'm Kat. I'm the founder of Balanse. I hope you're enjoying our videos and our blog. I wanted to post something quite special to me. A while ago I posted a video on Vimeo about why I think we are so bad at handling grief. And I wanted to do a few posts on this subject, a balanced approach to grief, if you will. A few of my friends have asked me to say something on the topic, and I do think it's very important. And also recent events like Louis Tomlinson losing his mum. He's the same age as I was when I lost my mum 6 years ago. And things like Prince Harry finally coming out and talking about, the loss of his mum, Princess Diana. It seems like this topic is suddenly being talked about in a way that it hasn't been before, which I think is really important. And on that subject, I just wanted to share with you, for what it's worth, 7 things that I think would be wise to do during the loss of a parent. Now, this might work for other types of grief and other types of losses than parents as well, but I'm not going to speak with authority on the matter because thankfully I've never lost a child or anyone other than my parents. But here are a few things that work or work to some extent. There is no happy recipe during that time in your life. Number 1, stop caring about tears. You need to stop that immediately because it's going to happen. I have spent a lot of time trying not to cry. And I felt like if I cried, I was perhaps falling into a very cliched idea of a bereaved daughter or something like that. And I remember a doctor telling my stepfather when we were doing the horrible waiting time in the hospice that crying actually releases stress hormones, and if you keep it bottled up, you are quite literally creating a time bomb for yourself, and you're making it worse. So you are going to cry a lot. Don't just cry alone like I did. Cry in public, cry to your friends, and don't give any fucks about what people think about that. Forget about what's proper and what's real, because what really is proper is you've lost someone very dear to you. So cry. Number 2, get physical if you can at all. You are carrying an enormous amount of pain and loss on the inside, and no words can describe how horrible that pain is. But what does help is to physically get some sort of outlet. So boxing helped me a lot. Also because you are struggling most likely with a enormous sense of helplessness for not being able to prevent the death of your parent in any way, shape or form. So literally punching it out can be quite helpful, or running, or jumping, or mountain walking, or any of those things, particularly outdoor activity, getting some fresh air, getting back in touch with nature. It sounds stupid, maybe if you're not a spiritual or a religious person, but we are all made out of the same matter, and getting out and just bloody looking at the ocean or breathing some mountain air really actually helps. Number 3, sleep. You will be overwhelmed, most likely, by how tired you are. And don't be surprised if you need much, much more sleep than you usually do, because you are exhausted, and your body and your mind are intricately connected. They are one. So if one is exhausted, the other one will feel exhausted too. You will feel some days like you've run a marathon for no reason. And this is because of all the pain you're carrying. Let yourself sleep. Let yourself have naps in the daytime. Obviously, don't, if you can, try not to sink into depression and not get up in the morning, which is hard, particularly in the beginning. But try and have someone support you, get you up in the morning, get you out of bed. But if you need to sleep a bit longer, if you can go to bed earlier, if you need to have a nap in the day, do so. Absolutely do so. Number 4, and this is an important one, ditch all other drama. Absolutely do not engage in any sort of poisonous relationship at this time. If somebody wants your full attention, of being with you, or you are engaged in some sort of relationship drama, do not engage in that. You need support, you need safety, you need someone who loves you and cares deeply about you, and above all, you need to love yourself, and you do not need someone else's drama, even though it can be very, very tempting at that time, because of course dealing with someone else's drama can be very tempting, because you then of course can put off dealing with your own, which you don't want to deal with. But you are really just putting off something that you are going to have to process eventually, and you might end up damaging yourself more. So don't engage in someone else's drama, and if you figure out how to do that, please go back 6 years in time and tell me to do the same thing. Number 5, if you can bear it, talk about the people you lost. You are keeping them alive for you and for the other people who love them. People are very scared to ask you about them. They don't want to upset you. Now, don't take that people's inability to communicate as anything rude or bad. They are simply trying to find the words, and they don't have them. And I don't have them, and I've had terrible losses. We just don't want to upset anyone any further. But if you engage in it, and if you can be brave, and if you can let your tears run, I still don't quite know how to do it, but I try to unashamedly just say, do you know, today I just thought about how much I loved Mum, because this thing that I did just reminded me of the way she used to chop carrots. But these are the little things that keep them alive. If you can't bear to talk about it, or at least not in the beginning, write. Writing really helps. Never mind if you're not a writer, write poetry if you like that. If you prefer that, write a blog. But write about them, write about your memories, because it's painful, but some of that will fade. So keep it in your mind and keep it open and process it. Write the pain, write the love, write everything. Number 6, if you're religious at this time or spiritual, it's probably a good thing. If you're not, I would say create some sort of a ritual for yourself. I didn't like graves. I still don't really. But I'm coming to appreciate more the ritual it is to come to somewhere. And I wish that I had more of a relationship to the church I grew up in, or at least having somewhere to come to. You can create your own ritual. You can light a candle on their birthday. Light one every day if you need to. Create a little altar. I'm particularly fond of the Mexican tradition of Dia de Muertos, creating altars for the happy memories and celebrating the life of the person you loved. Maybe baking their favourite cake. Maybe taking some colourful things to their grave, sitting there talking about the memories, good memories. But yes, create a ritual with the people you have around you, or by yourself, or both. It's healing. I don't know why. Maybe rituals are in our psyche and in our heritage, but it is very helpful. Number 7, ask for help. This is very hard, and I don't necessarily mean from a professional, but I do warmly recommend a good therapist and finding someone you can talk to in that way. But it doesn't have to be that, and it doesn't have to be that straight away. Ask someone. At the time I was at my lowest, I didn't know how to ask for help. I felt like I had no one, which was very hard. But I did reach out to one person on Facebook, and it wasn't a close friend. It wasn't family. I didn't feel close to anyone particularly at that moment in time. So I reached out to a virtual stranger who'd just been very kind to me on one particular occasion, in a professional context. And we'd ended up speaking for a long time during one night. And she said at the time, if you ever need someone, reach out. And I did. And it was incredibly helpful. She just said the words that I needed to hear in that moment. And this was Facebook, mind you, so, never say that social media isn't good for anything. Sometimes that's all you can bear. Maybe you can't face going out or even getting on the phone, or getting on the phone without randomly dialing your mum or dad's number that you've just lost. So if you can reach out to anyone in any fashion at all, you'll very often find that people relish the chance to help you, and they relish the chance to being reached out to feeling that responsibility, and that honor, in fact, that it is to help others. And you will probably be better received than you think. So just to sum up, above all, welcome to your new life. I can promise you that it will not always hurt this much. But your new life now involves creating and recreating yourself and your life around that yawning gap that the loss has left you with. And that yawning gap does heal, but the gap will forever be in your life. But there is a life to be created around it, and there is a beautiful, fulfilling, happy life to be created around it. And you must believe me when I tell you this. But it will always be hard at times. You might still need to cry. I'm crying as I'm doing this. I still need to cry at least once a month over my mum, and maybe my dad too. So you are reconstructing yourself and your life around this vacancy. But the life is there. You just have to give it time. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed. If you like Balanse, please follow us on all our social media, and please click on it lots and lots and lots, and keep enjoying.